My name is Bob Johnson, co-author of the book Berkeley Walks with Janet Byron, and I organize walking tours in Berkeley, California. We're going to talk about bungalows today. More specifically, two bungalow styles, the Craftsman and the California Spanish bungalows, the two types most commonly found in Berkeley, California. First, here's some background. The name bungalow was derived from the one-story thatched roof homes with a veranda of Bengali farmers that the British altered and used for a common style in India. Most bungalows have a simple style with a fairly open floor plan, often with no hallway. Bungalows are usually laid out on only one level, although many bungalows do add a half story. These two features give easy access between living areas. Another characteristic is that they have a porch or stoop. The buildings of Berkeley exhibit a number of styles that are found throughout the USA. It is important to note that there are no official globally agreed names for architectural styles. Thus, the names can vary, and moreover, the architects and builders can alter and mix styles to suit their needs and taste. Nevertheless, most buildings display certain styles, and learning a bit about them can help us appreciate and enjoy them all the more. As I mentioned earlier, I will focus on the Craftsman and California Spanish style bungalows. As to bungalows in general in California, a favorite resource of mine, the American Field Guide to Houses, says that the brothers Charles and Henry Greene in Southern California began designing houses that were called Craftsman Bungalows, based on their interpretation of the British arts and crafts movement. The arts and crafts movement in England was a reaction against the Industrial Revolution's perceived evaluation of the individual worker, who they believed should be regarded as a craftsman. As their style evolved, the Greene brothers eventually designed impressive big houses like the Thorson House in Berkeley and the Gamble House in Pasadena in the arts and crafts style. These homes, from 1907 to 2009, called the Ultimate Bungalows, were not like the simple Anglo-Indian forebears, but rather very impressive homes for well-to-do owners. The emphasis was on quality materials, with a rustic feel. This would include heavy wood beams and unpainted wood shingles, as well as cobblestones, boulders, and clinker brick. The interiors would boast fine wood paneling, built-in cabinets, finely articulated stairways, and impressive fireplaces. There would be Tiffany-style glass and light fixtures. Both buildings and furniture were fashioned by skilled artisans and craftsmen. Simpler forms of these classic buildings were adapted into the Craftsman Bungalow style, and these became popular throughout the country. After the San Francisco earthquake and fire of 1906, the East Bay saw very rapid population expansion. At that time, Berkeley in particular was one of the fastest growing cities in the US. In general, this was a period when people were starting to move to the suburbs and less dense parts of cities, and automobiles were becoming more common. Bungalows satisfied the need for modest-sized homes for middle-class families. They were built as standalone detached homes, signifying the greater level of prosperity. The 1910s and 1920s were a period of high growth, first for Craftsman and then for California Spanish bungalows. In fact, there were numerous pattern books from which builders could design the bungalows. Here are some samples from a Sears Roebuck catalog. Sears could ship the parts to be assembled on site. There's a row of Sears-style bungalows on Jefferson Avenue in Berkeley. This promotion sheet for the Argyle in Craftsman style is not exactly the same as the ones on Jefferson Avenue, but is quite similar in general design and comes from the 1921 catalog for home kits. Here you can see a typical Craftsman bungalow. These houses would have a moderately pitched roof with a prominent gable. The gable would normally be forward-facing. Sometimes there would be a gable within the gable, or occasionally the gables would face the side. Dormer windows extending from the roof were sometimes added, particularly if the gables faced the sides. The eaves would usually be extended, and structural elements such as beams, rafters, and brackets would be clearly exposed. There would be extensive use of wood and brown shingles, bricks, and stone. The facade tends to emphasize balance rather than symmetry. There's a porch that may extend the width of the house, or only part way. The window framing is wood, and the walls may be wood planks, wood shingles, or stucco, but sometimes with stone or brick in lower sections of the porch and walls, or for the chimney. Windows often have a larger lower pane, with the upper part divided into lights, sometimes with unique patterns in the mullions between the panes. The windows would include appealing designs. The interior plan tends to be open and informal, for example with the living area flowing into the dining area. Interior wood features are prominent, including attractive wood paneling, built-in cabinets, and shelving or wainscoting. There's a prominent hearth. This is the type of bungalow most often found in Berkeley, with many variations.
The California Spanish bungalow, which is part of the group called Spanish Eclectic, probably originated in Southern California in the 1920s.
They have very low-pitched or flat roofs, and the siding is almost always stucco. The homes tend to be modest in size and architecturally simpler than the Craftsman bungalows. However, they do have certain design elements influenced by Spanish colonial buildings, such as red tile roofs, arches, and small ornamental details. While generally only one floor, they also may be split level with part of the residence over the garage. By contrast, Craftsman bungalows tended to have a standalone garage behind the home. Sometimes people would paint them in more intense or exotic colors. Although not quite as common in Berkeley as Craftsman bungalows, there are a number of blocks in Berkeley lined with the California Spanish bungalows done by the same builder with small variations in design. I hope you enjoyed watching this presentation on bungalows, and you will join me for future videos in this series about Berkeley. If you're interested in fascinating self-guided walks around Berkeley, you can purchase the book Berkeley Walks, which I co-authored with Janet Byron, or you can view our website at www.berkeleywalks.com for other info and some downloadable free walks.